Hey, it's Ika here. I've been playing a lot of Series 8 on Highlighter Showdown, as well as watching a lot of footage from top Japanese YouTubers. Now, I just thought I'd make a video to give my thoughts on what to look out for, where the metagame is currently at, and how people are building with and against these restricted legendary threats that Nintendo has given us to work with. When it comes to the restricted Pokemon, the biggest two threats early on at least, until the meta inevitably changes, are Zacian and Yveltal. This video will kind of be focusing on these two Pokemon, the types of teams they're found on, what common partners are seen with them, and what the common checks are. So first I'll talk about Zacian and what makes it so dangerous. Zacian's blistering speed, basically it hits 220 speed as well as Intrepid Sword. This ability gives it +1 attack on every time it switches in, and its general fairy, steel, fighting and electric coverage makes it extremely difficult to switch into, and it can easily sweep through pretty much any team given the right conditions. It is also not a Dynamaxer, which means basically you're getting a legend as well as being able to use Dynamax from another Pokemon, so you can just use those two things in conjunction, so it kind of indirectly buffs the rest of your team. Generally you'll be seeing 3 attacks plus either Substitute or Sword Stance, which I just have in the other moves. There's also Crunch here, which can be used as an alternate coverage if you don't want to use these main 4 coverage moves. Basically, the former, Substitute, stops Ditto from copying you and revenge sweeping your team. The latter guarantees you Okos against Dynamax Pokemon that would otherwise live Behemoth Blade or Play Rough or any of these moves. So, for example, you can get an SD up, and then you could guarantee Oko a Dynamax Yveltal with Play Rough. That's just one particular example that you could see crop up in your games. The general strategy with Zacian, at least, is you want Zacian. I have some of its teammates here. I'm just going to check that. I might have to scroll down a bit. Just see if you can see Rillaboom in the bottom. Well, I'll sort that out in a sec. But the general strategy is to have Zacian plus a Zacian counter, as well as something that can break through Quagsire as your main core. Why do you need a Zacian counter when running a Zacian team? It's basically to prevent Ditto from copying your Zacian and reverse sweeping your team, as well as obviously versus opposing Zacian. So Lapras is probably the most common, the big one that you'll see with Zacian. The reason you see Lapras is because it's basically an enabler as a Dynamaxer. It's very good at trading on its own, but G-Max Resonance, especially with Light Clay, although you can use Sweetness Policy Lapras as well, allows you to like set up Zacian to sweep in the back, and gives it the opportunity to Sword Stance versus weaker Pokemon. Quagsire is also used with Zacian because of the fact it checks Ditto and opposing Zacian, which means that they can't sweep your team. It is probably the best Zacian check, which I'll get into in a sec. Other Pokemon that are good with Zacian are just strong Dynamaxes, so I'm going to link these two so you can see. I put up Cinderace, Zapdos and Rillaboom. These are great Pokemon. Especially you want Dynamaxes that can break through or annoy stall. So Cinderace is just very, very, very powerful and very hard to switch into. Zapdos is similar in a way, and then Banded Rillaboom can help stall break and beats Quagsire quite heavily. Yeah, there's another thing with Lapras in particular that's good, is that it beats Quagsire. You always want something that can switch into and easily beat Quag, because that's like the best stop to Zacian. In terms of Zacian defensive stops, obviously I've put Quag is not on here, but it should be on here. Defensive Quagsire is the best stop, but other ones include Landorus Variant Form, specifically a defensive Landorus T. This can switch into this spread 252/176 defense. Can switch into any Zacian move. It activates the Citrus Berry even if it's like Play Rough. Although not all rolls activate Citrus. You get the Intimidate off, and then you can guarantee Revenge Kill with an Earthquake. Then you have Hippo, serves a similar purpose. You can phase Zacian out of Yawn or Quake, though you do have to watch out for, or Whirlwind, you can phase out of Whirlwind. And you do have to watch out for Substitute if you're going to go for Yawn, because quite a few Zacian do use Substitute. Shedinja completely walls Zacian. Yeah, this is the current standard set, but you'll only mainly see it on store teams. Crunch is something you do have to worry about as Zacian coverage, but generally, you know, if you're using Quagsire as well, Zacian is completely useless. And then, yeah, defensive Swampert. Kind of, these three Pokemon serve a similar purpose. They can win up the 1v1 with Earthquake, or they can force out Zacian with Yawn or Whirlwind. So, in terms of Zacian Revenge Killers, basically, because a lot of the time Zacian is just so hard to switch into, Revenge Killers are commonly used on teams that just don't have that much of it, like more offensive teams that typically won't have a backbone strong enough to really deal with Zacian. So some of these include like Ditto, Scarf Ditto, Scarf Cinderace, Scarf Landorus T, and Scarf Extra. These Pokemon can OHKO Cinderace with just a little bit of chip, as well as choice specs, Reggie and Lecky. These are the main 5. I'm just going to delete so you can see them all. Don't know why this is not the case. And lastly, you have Scarf Kyogre, which OHKOs Zacian with Water Spout. Another way of kind of, that's like the main way of dealing with Zacian. Another way to deal with Zacian that a lot of teams are using is, see if I can see it, yes, Zacian Dynamax Traders. So these 3 are prime examples of Pokemon that you use Dynamax to trade with Zacian. Obviously Zacian has Behemoth Blade, which allows it to do double damage to Dynamax targets, but in the case of Celesteela, Necrozma Dust Main, and Zapdos, these are probably the 3 main examples. They resist Behemoth Blade, so they don't really take that much from it, even though it is base 200 power, so you can use Fire moves or Earthquake in the case of Necrozma Dust Main to beat Zacian using your Dynamax. So alternatively, of course, you can trade with Focus Sash, and there are a variety of Focus Sash users, from Cinderace's Sash counter, or Pyro Ball, Urshifu's Sash counter. These are just examples. Focus Sash I'm not going to go into too much, but any of the Pokemon the offensive revenge killers can also use Sash to kill instead of Scarf. Scarf just guarantees that they're faster than Zacian. So now let's talk about Yveltal. Generally, the sort of teams Yveltal is on, they're a bit different to Zacian teams. The reason why that is you just want to be Dynamaxing a lot of the games, because what makes Yveltal so good is it's probably the best Dynamaxer in the format. It's bulky, it's relatively fast, it has those base 131 high attack stats and access to like really hard hitting dark moves due to Dark Aura giving you a 33% boost to your dark moves, as well as obviously max airstream, which everyone knows is broken if you've played any BSS. The most common Yveltal set is 3 or 4, generally 4 attack Yveltal. Oblivion Wing and Dark Pulse are almost mandatory, and then you have Sucker Punch and Heat Wave as the most third and fourth most common moves. Life Orb, Heat Wave in particular, most Yveltals are Life Orb, allows you to kill Zacian whilst Dynamax at +1 speed, so you're outspeed and you're Oko with max flare. Utility moves, I put some other moves here. Focus Blast is another coverage that you can use specifically for Tyranitar, the utility moves are Taunt and Roost. You can kind of use these against are good against faster moves, so you'll rarely see like Stall Breaker sets to deal with stall Pokemon because of Oblivion Wing's secondary effect, where it just heals back all your health. Well, I think it's 75% of damage dealt. So on Yveltal's special attack stat, it deals an absurd amount of damage. So Yveltal, I'll talk about some of the noteworthy teammates. By the way, when I'm talking about teammates with both Zacian and Yveltal, there are generally good Pokemon that can be always slotted in on teams like Zapdos, Cinderace, Ditto. But I'm just going to talk about specific ones that have specific synergies. So with Yveltal, Hippo plus Yveltal, this is Hippo is used for setup for Yveltal as a lead. So it puts up Stealth Rock, it provides moves, focus, sashes, provides chip on Pokemon such as Zapdos that otherwise could take a Yveltal hit when Dynamaxed, and you know, can kind of yawn around Pokemon, and generally get Yveltal into a good position. It's similar to Hippowdon plus Salamence in Generation 7, for example. Another good one used is Nihilego. Nihilego is kind of used as a opposing Yveltal check, also a Zapdos check, and can help break through Stolia builds, specifically with Acid Spray, can break through Chansey, for example, by using acid Spray to get Chansey to -6, and then using Power Hurt, Meteor Beam, essentially forcing it to kill automatically versus Stall. That's just one particular example of this. Is like maybe a 40% set, but it's something interesting specifically for this series. Another one is Choice Banded Dracovish. Dracovish is generally used versus Stall, just a great Stall breaker really. Since nothing on Stall can really switch into like the Stall teams can really switch into Vicious Rend very well. where Yveltal can still win those matchups. And lastly, you have Assault Metagross. Assault Vest Metagross is specifically Assault Vest is a good check to Pokemon like Nihilego, Xerneas, Tyranitar, and Mimikyu. You can run Bullet Punch, which does a lot. Can help you revenge Mimikyu. Teams with Yveltal can then generally like be filled with strong fillers, Cinderace Ditto, and kind of the large part of Yveltal team game plan is to remove and chip Pokemon that check Yveltal, so Yveltal can sweep Dynamax. So talk about Yveltal's main defensive checks or switch-ins. Chansey and Blissey are the obvious ones. They're just two fat blobs. Then you have Zacian Crown form, Play Rough at +1 does about 160%, and does tons even when you're Dynamaxed. Then you have Assault. Generally Assault Vest. Tyranitar is most common nowadays with Stone Age. This trades well with Yveltal when Dynamaxed. You have Xerneas. With this, you have a variety of Xerneas sets. This is the sub, like double fairy. Though you can have Psyshock here of Moonblast, but sub draining case can help you against fatter teams. And then you have Nihilego. That's just the same set that's used before, but yeah, just a very strong, especially defensive Pokemon with Meteor Beam. Don't know if you can see that. There you go. There's Nihilego. And Yveltal also has some revenge killers. They use Mimikyu, obviously. With its disguise, it can live a hit and then click Life Orb, Play Rough, or Life Orb. Yeah, mainly Life Orb, Play Rough, and then you have Specs Regieleki, and T-Bolt with the Transistor is going to do tons, and then you have a few Pokemon that can trade pretty well with Yveltal in terms of in Dynamax. So there'll be Zapdos, Tapu Fini, and Lapras. These just have the bulk to either the bulk or the resistances to live Max Darkness, and then can kind of hit back with super effective moves. So anyways, I hope that was kind of useful for people, and next time I'll try and do a video on Eternatus and Kyogre teams and kind of what to expect when using these Pokemon, like what is good with them, as well as what to kind of think about in terms of team building against these threats and what checks them. Thanks for tuning in.